my children got upset with me, the way I was interacting with them, and I had to check myself, which we're going to get to next. I had to have some self-reflection.
Yeah.
Why is it that both my kids and I, they get upset with me? What is it? Because both of them, and they're different as night and day, by the way. Mm-hmm. So yet I'm upsetting both of them. Then I have to check myself. I have to grow as a father. Alrighty, hello and welcome to the Father Factor podcast. Today we have a very interesting topic. We're going to talk about comfort zones and what they are, what they mean to people, how they inhibit people, how people get through them, how you break through them. And I'm chopping it up here today with my co-host Josh, and Brandon is with me, and other co-hosts. I don't know if you saw us last time, but I used to say co-host for today, and I got checked on that. So I don't want to get checked on that anymore. So today I have two co-hosts. And again, the comfort zone. What is the comfort zone? What is the comfort zone? Let me read you a brief explanation. Explanation. A comfort zone is a psychological space where we feel safe, in control, and unchallenged. It's where routines thrive and risks are minimal. On the surface, that might sound good. But here's the thing. Growth doesn't happen there. When you stay in your comfort zone, you avoid discomfort, but you also avoid development. You stop stretching yourself. You plateau. It's like a cozy prison cell with soft pillows and warm lighting.
I feel good right now. I got soft pillows and warm lighting. What about you, Josh? You feeling?
A cozy prison cell. I ain't never seen no soft pillows, but maybe a half-inch mat.
I'm in a comfort
It's
zone.
a metaphor.
I'm in a comfort zone right now.
I was comfortable though.
Hey, but look, you upgraded the Father Factor's got to upgrade. I mean, look, we not in this. What is this environment we in right now?
Well, actually, I was comfortable in the other environment. I was discomfortable. I'm sorry. I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. See, uncomfortable is a motive. Uncomfort or discomfort is a motivator as well, right? So, question though, gentlemen. Question: Why do people stay in their comfort zones? Why do people stay in their comfort zones?
Why do people stay in their? Well, I think there's a lot of answers to that. I think that people have a tendency to be complacent, and they have a tendency to be lulled into convenience, and being challenged is hard.
Okay.
And I think that people avoid hard things.
Okay. Josh, what do you think?
I mean, some of it's habitual, I think.
Habitual,
habit formed, so some people have a routine they fall into, that you think about.
But what keeps them in that routine?
The
fear,
the familiarity. It's It's a controlled space, a controlled flow, a controlled just way of life, to where they know what to expect. I think people just try to minimize their disruptions and lock in the way that they feel them, like we say, the most comfortable, right?
Yeah, but you don't grow. In the way you grow is you have to leave your comfort zone, right?
Right, but that requires a desire to grow. And a lot of people they may desire growth, but they're more comfortable pacifying themselves. So
I would agree with that.
To desire growth is natural, but to take action on it, I think, is, especially nowadays where we have so much distractions with our phones, technology, it's just real easy to fall into a passivity because of distraction.
I think people are also afraid to leave their comfort zones because they're afraid of what they will encounter outside of that comfort zone, and people don't like being discomforted. I remember after 9/11, they interviewed Osama bin Laden, and they brought up an interview probably before 9/11. I don't remember the exact date of it. But one thing Osama bin Laden said is that, I think it was afterwards, because he said what we had to do was make the Americans uncomfortable, because Americans do not like to be uncomfortable. And you guys can Google that. Osama bin Laden said we have to make Americans uncomfortable because Americans do not like to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think Americans are very lazy.
But now, let's not generalize all Americans now.
I think Americans are lazy.
I'm American. I'm not lazy.
Well, I mean, I think that obviously there's hyperbolic speech. I think that there are very few absolutes. So if I'm saying Americans are lazy, it's illogical to think that 100% of Americans are lazy. I'm using it as hyperbole to describe what is an epidemic of laziness amongst American citizens.
Some American citizens.
I would say a vast majority.
Okay, what you would say? What would you say?
I got lost in the sauce there for a second. But,
well, Brandon, his hyperbole suggests that most Americans are lazy, and I don't believe that.
I think it really depends.
Oh Lord, here we go.
You know,
politician.
Because again, it's.
I know.
I agree.
I agree with you, but I disagree with you.
Well, I mean, it goes down to: are we talking about the perception of Americans, or are we talking about the actuality of America?
I would say that it is both perception and actuality. I think that Americans are hardworking at some things, and that's obviously proven because we are, the most prosperous nation on the earth. So you can't be prosperous without having some sort of work ethic. But when it comes to the advancement of virtue, when it comes to moral fortitude, when it comes to the dispelling of proclivities and things that hinder human beings from being the best version of themselves, Americans are lazy. They would much rather deal with comfort and convenience. Now, if you integrate or you introduce money into the pot, then Americans all of a sudden get zeal and have ambition, and they want to work hard because they actually want to use the money to satisfy their pleasures.
So then does money motivate them to leave their comfort zone, or does money increase their comfort zone?
I think that money actually motivates Americans to be uncomfortable so they can use their money to be comfortable.
That was a mouthful. Okay, let me say this. The comfort zone can feel good until it doesn't, right? It can feel good until it doesn't.
Yeah, no doubt.
What are those things that make it not feel good? What begins to happen, you think?
I mean, I think you feel the sense of unfulfillment. When you
fulfilled.
reflect, when somebody actually has time to reflect. Maybe it's like the power outage we experienced in Texas a few years ago, the rolling blackouts, right? No internet, time for reflection, whatever. But there comes a point where we have to analyze. But I believe that it's natural, like it's nature. Think about a mother bird in her nest. That the babies are comfortable. They fed there, but they start to turn the nest in, so it becomes more and more uncomfortable for the baby, so that they leave the nest. And so I think that's nature. At what point do we leave the nest?
So one of the things that happens to you or to a person in their comfort zone, even though they can be comfortable to a point, something has to happen to cause them discomfort.
Right.
So now they want to change what they're doing. They want to move outside of the comfort zone.
We'll use weight. Like I've heard how many people talk about, I got my whatever school reunion coming up. I got to get fit for it. Well, why are you waiting until now? Right? You're saying, well, you've been uncomfortable all along, but you've been comfortable enough in your discomfort to do nothing about it. Yeah. But now you're going to be forced to really be amongst peers and face judgment and scorn. So now you're like, oh, I'm getting uncomfortable in this body. I need to do something about it.
That's funny. A friend of mine got married 3 years ago, and his fiance bought the dress. It was too small, but she bought it too small purposely.
She's going to fit it.
Because she had to lose weight to fit that dress, because she wasn't going to be fat on her how she thought she was fat anyway, on her wedding. And so she did get in that dress. Yeah. I saw her the other day, though. She can't wear that dress right now.
To me, that's a broken way of thinking.
What do you mean?
It's not sustainable because it's not rooted. It doesn't have a foundation.
Okay, what is a broken way of thinking, though? I'm lost on that. What do you mean? What is a broken way of thinking?
The example that you just gave.
Okay.
That young lady has a broken way of thinking.
Okay, but that what we were talking about, that her wedding and wanting to get in that dress, she was comfortable where she was, eating what she was eating, until she wasn't. That was the question we were dealing with.
Exactly.
And then now she wasn't anymore because she wanted to get in that dress.
And I think that her way is a broken way of thinking.
But the thing is...
I'm sorry. I want to hear the broken way of thinking.
Because it's not sustainable.
Of course not.
Exactly. So
because that wasn't the right motivation.
Exactly.
Well,
and that's why I'm saying it's a broken way of thinking.
It was the right motivation, right?
Okay.
It's what got her. That's what made the change. However, she didn't set it up in a way that it was truly sustainable, like you said, because she hit her goal. And a lot of times people, and maybe that's the thing here, is that we set our goals too low, we achieve them, and then we go back to our old ways. So she hit her goal. I got the dress, I got the pictures, and now, dang, the Girl Scouts are selling Thin Mints again. Let's get it. Throw them in the
Thin
freezer.
Mints. The Thin Mints got her. She's walking outside of Kroger and the Thin Mints got her.
Peer pressure of them
Man,
little
them Thin
girls.
Mints will get you every time. You know,
You know what I'm saying? Especially in the freezer.
I think the problem to me is a mindset. It's a mentality. You know, people don't want to change and shift their paradigm because when you get complacent or stuck in a rut and you have, you know, whatever creature comforts, it takes a complete change in perspective in order to do something different.
Right. You know what? I have a personal trainer, a strength trainer, and I went to him. I go on Fridays, and he had cooked some burgers, some buffalo burgers. And he told me last week he cooked them for the holiday of the 4th. And by the way, this is July. July, people! Raise up, baby. This is our birthday month. We're going to party all month. Now, having said that, back to the show. And he said that there were burgers. Nobody ate the buffalo burgers but him. His wife didn't eat them. His kid. Nobody ate them but him. And I said, why? Why not? He said, because they won't leave their comfort zone. They won't explore.
Buffalo good.
They won't do that. And he said, my family won't do that.
That's his fault, though.
Yeah, and I said, well, come on, that's not blaming him. But I said, my family's not like that. I said, my family eat any and everything. I said, when I was a kid, my son was a kid, I used to take him everywhere. And he taste this, taste that, taste that. Mm-hmm. So we don't have that problem because I made sure that I exposed them.
Right. That's the piece.
Right? You just proved my point, though. You realize that, right?
How so?
That it's his fault that his kids are that way.
Okay, but his kid's wife that way.
Exactly.
Wait a minute now. Your wife don't eat a lot of stuff?
Yeah, she does.
No, she does not.
Absolutely. If you look at it on a scale, okay, and you look for
I tried to give your wife some food she wouldn't eat. You know this food I cook.
Once again, if you look at it on a scale,
okay, I'm listening.
Okay, over time,
right,
you can see the evolution of that changing.
In your wife, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you first met her,
when I first met her, she had never eaten Indian food. She had never eaten Thai food. She had never had a street taco. I took her to a taqueria to get a street taco, and she was like, "Where's the sour cream and the cheese?" Okay, so now she loves street tacos, as you know.
Okay,
but again, when you look at, I look at a lot of the parenting around me. I got kids. I see these kids, and I have kids that come to my house. I go to parties and events, and I see the cheese pizza over and over again. The cheese pizza, and you look at these parents. And the reason why that happens is because when the kids were little, when they were babies, and they put the fruit in front of them or they put the vegetable in front of them, and the kid threw a fit and temper tantrum, they placated, they appeased, and they took that away and they gave the kid what they wanted. And what you did psychologically is teach that kid that if I give a negative response, I can get my way. Well, you didn't operate that way. My kids, the reason why their taste buds are mature and why they've developed a diversity in food choices is because I did not allow them. What I put in front of them, you're going to eat it. If you don't want to eat it, that's fine. I'll take it away and you won't eat. Everything I put in front of you is good for you and it's going to be good. I'm never going to put anything nasty in front of you. So it was what I taught them was that you will try everything. You will not say I don't like it until you try it. And what that established is a diversity of thought. It shaped their mind to do something different. So yes, I hate to be harsh, but your friend, it is his fault because he allowed his kids.
Okay, but we're not here to blame. My friend. We're just talking about comfort zones and how people get in them.
Exactly, and I'm talking about the comfort zones.
Well, remember, he's my trainer. He's kind of built. He got muscles and stuff. I don't want him to listen to this and come and come and hurt me. Not you. He might lift the weights, drop on my head or something. Anyway, now here's the thing about comfort zone. I was working with a company last week, and they had a woman there she had been there for about 16 years, and now they have a new COO in and some new people in, and they want to do things a little differently. And she resisted and resisted and resisted because she had set up a lot of the processes that they were using at that time. And she just did not want to change those processes. And I happened to be in the office just listening to it, doing what I was doing. And she said, why do we have to change? It's been working for 16 years. Why do we have to change? It's been working for 16 years. And they wanted her to go between facilities, different facilities, to do certain things. And she didn't want to do that. She refused to do that. She said, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I remember we were on break and we were talking. She said, what do you think about that? And I said, well, give it an opportunity. Give it a chance. I said, you are not wanting to try it. I said, let's give it. It might be stupid, but you can't really tell them it's dumb or don't work unless you what? Unless you at least go through the process. You try it, and then you're able to come back and give them some feedback as it relates to the new process, what works, what doesn't work, and why. Mm-hmm. But right now, you're just saying you're not going to do it.
But where does she learn that behavior from?
Well, wait a minute, let me finish. And then we had a talk. I had talked to her before, and she said, because I've been working with this company back and forth over the years, and we had talked, and she said, I'm a pessimist. And Byron, you are an optimist. I said, yes, I am an optimist. I'm an optimist. And she said, well, I'm a pessimist. And I remember saying to her, that pessimism is going to be the downfall of you at some point.
Yep.
It's going to be the downfall of you at some point. And so as I'm listening to her, and then she lost it. And she said to them, well, just lay me off then. I'm not doing it. And I said to her, do you really want to draw that line in the sand? Sometimes, what is that old adage? Don't let your emotions have you say something that you will regret. Say it again.
I know what you're trying to say, but I'm going to say it the way I know it, right?
Say it the way you know it.
I said, I'll say emotions. Don't let your emotions write
PG.
Checks.
This is PG.
Checks that your backside can't cash. Okay. You feel me?
Yeah. No.
So I mean, it's. Yeah,
I know that one, but that was not the exact one I was referring to. But I know. But here's the deal, though. This person got terminated.
Yeah.
And she felt like they'd done her wrong, and she was just devastated. And I saw it coming because she was in her comfort zone. She had done things a certain way. One thing that I had to go in and do a body of work until they get somebody, and I sat there at her system, and she had one screen. Now everyone else in the facility or in the company has two screens. Some people have three screens. And I asked the IT person, how come we only have one screen at this desk? And they said because she did not want but one screen. She didn't want two screens. I said, well, how come she doesn't have this software on her system? She said she didn't want that software on her system. She didn't want to use that software. And that was what echoed, and everyone I spoke to, she was comfortable in how she had set things up.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so what is an appropriate level of empathy to have towards a person like that? None?
I mean,
well, I don't know. Go ahead.
No, I mean,
I don't know of appropriate level though.
I mean, if you
I have empathy for her.
What's an
can
appropriate
have
level?
Empathy. I guess
you can
have empathy.
Level, though. I mean, how do you measure that?
I guess I get what he's saying. Right? It's
You get what he's saying?
I get what he's saying with that. Like, what's appropriate? Because at what point, basically, when do you draw the line in the stand for that behavior?
Exactly.
Because think about it like this: whether it be family, whether it be the marketplace, whatever. Churches are flagrant fouls with this. With putting up with poor behavior because of one person's comfort, because the rest of most other people have some sort of maturity to them to where they can just, all right, it's fine, whatever. So a lot of times we bow down to the most toxic person to the organization just to keep the peace because everybody else has enough sense to
appeasement.
Sense, right? So she's been there 16 years. letting her cheeks flap in the wind, just acting a fool, as far as I'm saying, acting a donkey. Because, no, I don't want that. No, I don't need the screens. No, I don't want to be. So what I'm hearing is, no, I don't want to be more efficient. You know, right? Like, no, I don't want more visibility, right? Because of that second screen. Efficiency, visibility. No, I don't need that software bogging down my computer. It's just that's that a controlling mindset of, and it's been allowed through the organization and probably throughout her life with her parents, spouses, things like that.
She wasn't willing to grow.
No.
And people that are not willing to grow want to stay in their comfort zone.
So back to my question, though. Hold on, we didn't answer my question. So what is an appropriate level of empathy to have?
But I don't think that's how you measure empathy.
How do you?
I guess at what point?
What do you mean? How do you measure empathy?
How do you measure what's appropriate level? A level is something that's a measurement.
Exactly.
So what's appropriate?
Should we be extremely empathetic or not empathetic at all?
I don't know. You know what? I'm empathetic. I don't know. I have empathy. I don't have a little empathy or a lot of empathy. I just have empathy. So that's why that measurement don't work. I can't put my head on that.
Are you saying that there's no ability to dictate and determine how empathetic you are towards it? It's only just one blanket.
I'm empathetic.
I don't know if the word empathy is right.
I'm empathetic or I'm not, for me.
I don't know if empathy is the right word. I would say tolerance. No, I would use tolerance.
But that's two different things. But the question he's asking, tolerance, I believe, when they tolerated some of her behaviors for a while.
I'm talking about empathy.
I know that. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to make that discernment with Josh.
Are you talking about the complaining of like, oh,
no.
So like, should we feel sorry for her that she lost?
Well, sorry
job?
and empathy, it's two different things.
Right.
So how do you delineate between I feel sorry and empathy? So we're not talking of semantics here. I'm just trying to use another.
Because I don't want to go down those rabbit trails.
I'll say it like this.
No, I'm not. No, empathy. I'm not going to do that.
Empathy is the ability to feel and relate
and put
to
yourself
what
in
they're
there.
feeling, right?
Exactly.
So I can feel the feelings. I can empathize with how you're feeling, doomed, scared, this and that. However, my tolerance of how sorry I'm a feel for you or how much is low when you've had a history of just foolishness, right? It's like person that keeps doing the same thing over and over.
Tolerance. That's not. Those are
well,
two
I can be.
things
I mean, because you can be. I can feel for you, but at the same time, I'm like, yo, you're an idiot.
So let me ask you this way.
Okay.
Was the action that happened to her, was it justified? Was it fair?
Ooh, you don't want me to answer that honestly.
Yes, I do.
Ooh, it wasn't fair to her.
It wasn't fair to her?
No, it wasn't fair to her.
So
because they established a workplace culture that put up with
okay. I like that. Interesting.
So now
they enabled her comfort zone.
They enabled it. They helped her create the comfort zone by not saying, no, it's either this or. Because that first year, I'm sure she was somewhat difficult.
They didn't set a boundary.
No boundaries.
No, but
so it's not her fault.
Let me say that first year, actually, in first X amount of years, all the processes she put in place actually helped that company kept it running. If it wasn't for her, no telling what would have happened. But again, 16 years later, technology has changed, things have changed, and she was still trying to hold on to that antiquated process.
I don't think her personality changed that much. I think she probably had it there, but because she was the
decision maker, and she got what she wanted.
She got what she wanted, and it was helpful because she felt a need, right? But at a certain point, the collaborative piece with corporate, with people, with groups, you have to be able to give and take. And in that place, she was positioned to give on, not to give, to give. Here's the structure, here's this. So they relied on her as the expert. So she got her way because she was the expert. And I don't know at what point the poor behavior, because at some point it had to peak. It had to just rile up lightly. And then the more, because once you have a little poor behavior and you get away with it, it's kind of like, all right, well, I got away with that. What about this? And my wife worked at an organization where this lady used to act she'd lose her mind to the point where somebody said something she didn't like. She got up and slammed the door to her boss's office and just went off to lunch. But they allowed that type of stuff.
Let me ask you this, both of you all, because I never said that she had poor behavior, though she did. Okay. How did you guys surmise that she had poor behavior?
Because I think they were both intelligent people. I mean, we can.
Well, of course, you're intelligent people, but from the story that
we can conclude based off of how she handled change management,
Right.
Okay.
and her responses.
Okay, that's what I want to hear.
Okay, that she probably displayed poor behavior.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the reason why I asked about the empathy thing, right, is because I think that this is a part of society and culture that's an important thing to raise. If we're talking about comfort zones, a lot of comfort zones, it's selfish intent. She didn't think of the organization, okay, above herself, okay? So when she got fired, to me, it's hard to have empathy for that individual because her motives and ambitions for not wanting to change were about her.
Okay. But let me say.
So her losing her job and she's shocked by that. It's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? You weren't thinking of what was in the best interest of the organization. You were thinking about yourself, what you contributed, what you didn't want to do, how you didn't want to change, and as a result, you lost your job.
Well, let me ask this question then. Maybe in this scenario, you don't know her, and maybe you don't have any empathy. I get that, but I have consulted with this company for about 5 years, so I've interacted with her about 5 years on and off at different times. So I've gotten to know her. So is it possible that because I know her, I have some empathy for her?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Because you have a personal relationship, and it's easy to have that, right? So for me, I'm detached from it. I'm just talking things.
Right.
On the show, we're talking about theoretically
I think that's a good
and pragmatically, right?
Right. That's
if you develop a personal relationship, then you can have a little bit more empathy. But we're just talking about situations and scenarios.
Now I have
Detached,
empathy for
I
her,
think that's the word.
but was that the right thing to do for the company? Yeah.
Yeah, she
It was the right
for
thing to do.
her.
She earned the firing. Is what I'm saying.
It's the right thing to do. Okay, but I want to move on because I want to bring one of the things. Don't put it on me yet. Ooh. Talk.
Let that man do his job.
Well, because my screen.
Welcome to the podcast, y'all.
Hey, my screen went blank. My
He's
screen
over
went
here
blank.
telling the cameraman not to do cameraman work. Come on, man.
But seriously, one of the things though, I want to get back to the growth piece.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get back to the growth piece because the way we grow is we leave our comfort zone. I want to share this with you. Here's the truth. Growth starts with where comfort ends. Growth starts where comfort ends. Think back to a time when you felt challenged, really challenged. Maybe it was a new job, a public speaking opportunity, a fitness goal, Josh. It probably wasn't easy, but it changed you. That's productive discomfort. That's the magic space where skills are built, confidence grows, and transformation happens. Gentlemen, share with me a time you left a comfort zone.
Man, most of my life I've left the comfort zone. There wasn't, it's.
I want a specific growth.
Oh man,
I want
specific. I'll give you something. You something, right?
You have to have something.
I have a lot. That's the hard part. It's so much.
You don't know what to choose.
Right. Hey, Arize on the sound over here been kind of probably shaking his head all day while we've been setting up, just hearing us interact and talk, right? So there's lots of growth. One thing I would say is I had to leave my comfort zone in how I spoke.
Okay.
And so
how you spoke to people or?
In general.
In general, okay.
Because, I can get real just lazy with it. Like I speak Ebonics as my first language, So
I ain't heard that term since 1995.
You know what I'm saying?
Ebonics.
Man, that's
trying
a
to age
throwback.
myself.
You pulled that one way back out.
Oh, yeah.
Ebonics.
I think a principal told me,
crate.
said, Ebonics is not a proper way of speech. I said, they named it, so it must be a form of speech.
It's the most
It's like pig Latin, huh?
Ebonics was one of the most condescending, insulting, placating terms ever created, man.
So for me, it was wanting to get taken more serious, wanting to give my daughter more opportunity. It was a matter of me having to learn how to speak, enunciate, learning new words.
Right.
I struggled for years with writing, getting my thoughts onto paper.
Right.
Because I went to 12 schools in my K through 12 education. No, I'm sorry, 13 schools.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of holes in that education.
Was that movement, and you just got kept getting kicked out?
It was both, you know. Some of it was poor behavior. Some of it was we moved a lot. But so I remember getting in the mirror and speaking to myself in the mirror, making eye contact and talking to myself.
Right.
And I had to do affirming things because I typically spoke poorly to myself.
Right.
So to help myself grow, not only in my speech, but the way that I viewed myself,
Right.
well, I had to speak articulate, and I had to speak uplifting or
You have to be positive.
positive,
Articulately
affirming to myself,
right.
affirming and articulate, two A's, right? In order for me to step into some of the room, because I've always been good at communicating and getting out of trouble, great at getting out of trouble. But getting into, whether it be speaking, business, anything like that, I had to grow outside of my, I guess, yin-yang twin.
Well, I know that you was very successful as a sales trainer, sales leader, and you couldn't have gotten that in Ebonics unless you was.
And what's crazy is I use more Ebonics doing it now,
right?
Because I have the credibility.
Okay. Okay.
And people are more comfortable because
listening, right?
Because I've started as a VP, I've started emails as AO. What's happening, team? Happening.
What's happening there?
Yeah, and then I give them the goods.
Yeah.
And it worked well because the team knew me. They knew I was playing, that I'm capable of doing it, right?
We have talk show hosts now that speak Ebonics, so what the hell?
Right, hey. So it's one of those things that I knew I had to grow in my speech. Right. So I can choose to speak very clearly. You probably hear in the podcast I slip in and out of the two.
Ebonics.
Right, just that even my natural dialect, I guess my accent, as somebody might call it.
Okay.
So rather than doing proper and all that, but I had to learn that. Because
that's where
you have
grow.
to know you have to know your company, right? And if I wanted to get into better circles with better people, and outside of those, they say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Right. Well, I wanted different friends. I wanted different levels.
You wanted a different future, so you had to have different friends.
Because my daughter deserved that.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
So for me, it wasn't about me anymore.
Right.
I'd put them through enough. We talked about some of that earlier.
Exactly.
But
okay. So Brandon.
Yeah.
How about you?
Being uncomfortable is the secret sauce to success. If you want to grow, if you want to win, you have to be uncomfortable. That's the bottom line. So for me, it's a lifestyle of being uncomfortable. I have embraced being uncomfortable. It's the David Goggins mentality, okay? Are you pushing yourself to be uncomfortable daily? And I think that's what you have to adopt if you want to win. So for me, it's not necessarily a point in time that I said, okay, I was uncomfortable here. It's every day I'm finding myself trying to get rid of the things that are creature comforts that lull me into complacency, whether it's feeling entitled to have a late night snack or having sugar or having candy or getting off of work and having the expectation that I'm going to watch TV for an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever that is, or veg on my phone. I'm constantly attacking the propensity and the proclivity to feel like I am owed something, like I'm owed comfort. So for me, it's not necessarily an event or something that happened at a point in time. It's a daily pushing out of that comfort zone.
Right. That's how you live your life now, and I respect that and I understand that. But what I'm asking is, if you look back on your life and talk about the growth you've had, it could have been as a kid in soccer. I mean, is there something that you've done, a place you've grown, because you left that comfort zone, because you learned something different, you had some growth there? Where's some growth from a comfort zone that you had?
Yeah, I would say that for me, my entire life, like most Americans, I was not trying to be uncomfortable. I was fighting, okay, anything that made me uncomfortable.
So you're saying that you've never had a comfort zone?
I would say that I wanted to be in those comfort zones. I think that there's a big difference between wanting to be in a comfort zone and recognizing that you need to get out of it, right? Most times people have things that happen in their life and they don't recognize that it was good for them. So it's easy to look back at hindsight and say, okay, well, yeah, I can see now that was good for me to be out of that comfort zone. But at the time, I didn't want to be out of it.
Okay, and I'm not, again, whether you want to be out of it or not, what I'm saying and suggesting is that we grow. when we leave our comfort zone.
I agree.
And so I have grown at my age and where I am. I've grown as a parent. I've grown as a husband. I've grown as a professional speaker. I've grown as an author. I've grown because I was in my comfort zone for a long time. I was comfortable with what I was doing. In fact, we go back to the restaurant eating. It's a funny thing. Josh and I had lunch today, and I told Josh, well, I'll try everything on the menu. And Josh was telling me that he went to a Thai restaurant and didn't know what to order, only ordered one thing at that time.
Right, that was my very first time.
But whereas with me, I would have ordered that the first time, the second time, then the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time, the sixth time. I order things differently. So in my life, I have grown as a father. I've grown as a father, but I was comfortable being the father that I was. But see, the father of a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old and is different.
No doubt.
Right? And what I had to realize, I was being a father to a 15-year-old, but that 15-year-old was 25. Okay, that 15-year-old was older. Mm-hmm. And so I was in my comfort zone, interacting with that child the way I used to, saying things the way I did. I didn't understand why that person got upset. Mm-hmm. My children got upset with me, the way I was interacting with them. And I had to check myself, which we're going to get to next. I had to have some self-reflection. Yeah. Why is it that both my kids and I, they get upset with me? What is it? Because both of them, and they're different as night and day, by the way. Mm-hmm. So yet I'm upsetting both of them. Then I have to check myself. I have to grow as a father. And one of the ways I do that is, and not just me, you have to self-reflect. I self-reflected. I said, And I talked to some people, and they said, well, your son is X amount old. Your daughter's X amount old. I said, So I got to change how I talk to them. My tone has to be different now. My vocabulary, my words, my demeanor has to be different. I'm still dad. I'm not giving that up, but I'm not talking to kids. I'm talking to adults. And I had to leave that comfort zone of being this kid dad to grow to be this adult dad.
Yeah, but in order to do that, you had to desire a result. And that's the thing, is that you have to want something more than you want to be comfortable in order to accomplish that.
I agree with that.
And most people don't want. They say they want change.
I ask you something. Why do you always use those definitive terms like most? How come it seems like some people don't want that? Why would you say most people?
Because I believe there's most people. But you got to let me be that, though. Somebody's.
I'm not trying to change you. Yeah. I'm not trying to change you. For me, I don't know those most, everyone, everything, all. No.
Well, I think most and all are very different, right? Some and most are similar.
But a lot of people.
I don't think. Well, I'm not going to get into semantics. We'll do this all day. But I don't think some and most are.
Well, they are, because one is a minority and one is a majority.
Okay.
So you would rather opt to use minority language, and I would opt to use majority language.
Okay.
So I say people. I just say people, right? People naturally have an opposition with accountability. And I'm not talking about the fire and brimstone accountability. I'm talking about even with self. Because I think the biggest part, that the comfort zone that everybody has struggled with, is how we lie to ourselves. We as people typically lie to, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. I should start tomorrow, right? We will tell ourselves stuff, and if we had somebody that was talking to us externally, they'd be the most uncredible person. Hey, I'll see you at the gym tomorrow. They don't show up, right? Because our comfort zone starts in here. It's what we tell ourselves, how we spin the narrative to manipulate our mind to believe that, okay, cool. Then, I'll just get up early and work out and I can have this snack right now, or whatever it is. A lot of times we start there because we have those vices, we have those habits, we have that we talk about adults, right? Like my daughter struggles. I struggle with my daughter as a father right now because she's 19, almost 20,
right,
and she still is thinking like the 15-year-old. No, even though she's mature, I'm not saying her It's more of she hasn't recognized that you're almost 20 years old. You don't need full permission for every little thing, right? You're 20. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. Like, go get in some trouble. Go have some fun. Like, you don't need to be so, it's almost like Jordan acts like he's 20, almost like, hey, I'm going to go over here and do this. and she's like, hey, would it be okay in 4 weeks and it's like, man, put it on the calendar. If you can get there or whatever, do it. If it isn't here, I get, talking with us on.
So are you suggesting, I'm trying to follow you.
Her comfort zone is being the child,
okay,
right? And she hasn't figured out, I'm not saying that 19, 20 is real adult, right, but there's a level of kind of getting a little bit more outside of under the rule and thumb of like a high school kid at home, be home by 10 or whatever. What time do you want me home? Alive. Like, what you mean? You 20. Like, you don't drink, you don't do this. What could you stay at an ice cream parlor too long? Man, go have fun. And the son is just like, bye. Whoa. What do you mean bye? Where are you going? What's happening? So I see what I'm saying is her comfort zone is being the child, being in the nest with mom and dad. And for me, I'm wanting to see that growth. And part of it's not fair, right? Because my comfort zone, not that it was healthy, was that I had a child at her age.
Right.
I had her. And so am putting on what my expectation of me at that time was, right? I mean, I was navigating a whole life at 19 with a daughter. So her asking those questions is like, can I go to the mall? What? It's hard because I didn't have, I guess, that nest that she has. So I want her to get out of her comfort zone as the child and get out there and start being that teen or that young adult.
Okay.
Get into those type of circles, having more fun, because I'm like, man, she likes her phone, she likes her computer, she loves to work, but she'll come home and go into her bubble. And I want outside of that bubble. That comfort zone is scary to me as a father, because I know how much what's the way to say this? The opposite of exposure, the lack of exposure. She's missing out on lots of seclusion.
Things. But the gym thing is real. The gym thing is interesting to me, right? Because you look at New Year's resolutions, for example, and gym memberships. And I read this statistic that gyms make the majority of their money in the first quarter of the year.
Right.
And they see the biggest flux. People get gym memberships, and then they don't go back, and they don't cancel them because they feel guilty that they got them, and so they keep them. And they say, well, I'm just going to keep going back. But
do they feel guilty, or that's the lie Josh was talking about earlier? They tell themselves they're going to go back. I think they keep it open because it'll be available.
And I was about to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. They feel guilty, and they also continue to have this idea that, well, maybe I'll go next week. Maybe I'll go next week. Maybe I'll go next week. And they just keep the gym membership.
Someday
and don't ever go back. But what's interesting about it is that people in that first 30 days, well, the question is, well, why do they stop? They stop because it's hard. And people want immediate results. We are in an immediate gratification society, which is the reason why I say most people, because the numbers and the data suggest that it's most people. Most people, if you go out right now, okay, and you go to the store, you go to a restaurant, you're not going to find the majority of people that are fit. The majority of people you encounter on a daily basis are not in shape. The majority of people are not in shape. Why? Because it's uncomfortable to be in shape. It's uncomfortable to eat the salad instead of eating the burger with the cheese. Okay? So when I use majority and minority language, it's because I'm walking around society and I'm seeing people, like the New Year's resolutions, go to the gym and they stop going because in a week or 2 weeks, they don't see whatever results they thought that they were going to get. And now all of a sudden they stop going because it's hard and it's difficult and it's challenging and it's not yielding what they think is going to yield, and so they go back into their comfort zone bubbles.
Okay.
I think it's also that.
Okay, let me. Oh, hey, if you are enjoying what you are hearing, don't forget to subscribe and hit that
notification.
Hey, subscribe and hit that notification so you won't miss our next episode. I want to say this. I ask this question because we got to wind this down. how do people break free from their comfort zones? Well, you had already said, number one, they have to want to, right, Brandon?
Absolutely.
Have to want to. And how do they do that? One, we have to increase self-awareness. First of all, we have to admit that you are stuck. Increase my self-awareness where I am. Number two, we got to shift your mindset. Reframe fear as an opportunity, right? When I do something, courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is what? Doing something in spite of being afraid, right? Number three, start small. Take one step at a time outside your norm. One step at a time outside your norm. And number four, build new skills. Learn what you need to move forward. I think about that woman who got let go. She refused to learn new skills. She pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. She refused to learn new skills. And lastly, celebrate progress. Celebrate small steps. Don't say I didn't do enough. Say, hey, you know what? I did more than I used to do. I did more than I thought I could do. In other words, you got to have some positive self-talk. You got to have some positive self-talk. And you, as Brandon has said, you have to want to grow. You have to want to grow. So increase self-awareness, shift your mindset, start small, build new skills, and celebrate progress if you want to leave your comfort zone. Now, as we move forward, we talk about comfort zone, we talk about growth, and Brandon, you feel that most people don't. Let me rephrase this. Stubbornness is a part of why a lot of people are don't leave their comfort zones. We just had a friend that was visiting from out of town. And this friend sings with a group. This friend passed out and was rushed to Baylor Hospital. And my wife and I, my daughter, we went and took care of the friend there. And that friend was there Sunday until Thursday. And the doctors there began to tell her what was going on with her and what she needed to do, the doctors she needed to see when she gets back to her hometown. And she had to see several doctors, a preliminary, say that word.
Preliminary.
Doctor. Pulmonary, there you go, doctor. She needed to see several doctors. I can't think, it was about 3 or 4 different doctors based on what was going on with her lungs, what was going on with her heart, etc. And she's a little overweight, so she had to see doctors about what was going on with that. And my wife, she writes everything down. She has a log. When she goes to the doctor, she asks the doctor, she has questions. Questions upon question upon question upon question upon question upon question. And so she took a journal to her friend, because it was her friend she went to college with. She took a journal to her friend. And she said, because every time I ask you what the doctor said, you don't remember. Write down who the doctor was. Write down what they suggested you do. And she had went back to the hospital and she had written all that down. So finally, and also her son came to escort her back home because they didn't feel like she should fly alone. Now, she gets home. She calls the wife yesterday. And my wife said, okay, are you going to make your appointments to visit your doctor? She said, well, I made this appointment, I made that appointment. And Flo said, well, you got about 3 more appointments. She said, well, I'm not going to see all those people. And she said, what? Why not? She said, well, I'm stubborn. What do you think about that? I'm stubborn.
Man, I listen. I don't want to say anything since I don't want to be the bad guy. But that to me is a part of.
But she's in a comfort zone.
Well, it's more than that, though.
No, it is. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's more than that. It's identity.
Ooh, what do you mean?
It's identity. Well, for example, I meet people that say, I can't do this because of my anxiety.
Guys,
You possess your anxiety. Why are you possessing anxiety? Why is it yours? Why does it belong to you? Why is it a thing that you possess? When you say, I'm stubborn, she has resigned herself to say this is a part of who she is. Mm-hmm. It's her identity. So therefore, because this is my identity, I'm not going to do anything that counters that identity. So I am stubborn. That's who I am. I'm content with who I am. Therefore, I cannot grow.
But she's going to die.
Well, then that's what she's going to get then. That's what she wants. At the end of the day,
I know, and you have no empathy.
I mean, if you're gonna listen, if you're gonna say things, right, if you don't want to change and there is a clear and obvious ramification and repercussion of the behavior and you don't change, what else are you expecting? Right. I don't understand how anyone can help you because you've already determined that this is who you are. And so you're gonna die being who you are.
Okay. I hope not, but
I
don't think that's stubborn, and I think that's stupid.
Well,
I think they're the same. They
stubborn,
similar.
Stubborn is
stubborn is stupid's cousin. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I just dropped my mouth, man, because as for me, my whole Sunday afternoon, I was in the hospital in a waiting room because only 2 people go back. So my wife and daughter went back. I'm sitting there, and then Monday and Tuesday, and I'm coming back home Wednesday night in a storm and getting hail, and then you get all the way back to where you're going and say, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, well, hell, I could have stayed home.
Yeah.
Well, that was good though. This has been comfort zones.
Well,
so I hope everybody gets out of their comfort zone after watching this.
That's true. And I have some final thoughts. The comfort zone is seductive, but it's also limiting. If you want more out of life, you have to be willing to stretch, to reach, to stumble, and to grow. Let me leave you with a challenge. Do one thing today that makes you uncomfortable, like Brandon. He lives uncomfortable. Just one thing. Send that email. Start that workout. Say what needs to be said. You know what? Call your dad. Call your mom. Call your kids. Do something that makes you uncomfortable today. Growth lives on the other side of that action. You've been listening to The Father Factor. I'm your host, Byron Ricks. Why? Because fathers count.